Does your baby cry at the end of a feeding session? Why is my baby so upset after they feed? Hi, my name is Mallory. I'm a speech pathologist, infant feeding specialist. I specialize in infant reflux, um, uh, oral development, infant feeding in general. And this is a series called What I Googled. My followers submitted these questions. This question is on the heavier side, meaning it's going to take me a little bit longer than a minute to answer, but I will try my best to keep it short. Why is my baby crying after they feed? Babies, crying is their communication, first of all, right? So they could be crying for any number of reasons. Typically, what people are told is that if your baby cries after they're done eating, that means they're still hungry. And so, what do? We make more milk and we give it to them. This is where overfeeding can be so um, prominent in this particular scenario. So, w- and why it happens to bottle feeding babies more often than nursing babies. If you think about it, a nursing baby can be at the breast, and if they are done, they can sort of just lay there and keep suckling. If as long as they're suckling, the mom will keep them on the breast, right? For a baby who's drinking a bottle, depending on how they're being fed, if they're moving their lips against the bottle, there may be milk that's coming out, and that can eliminate the bottle, except it wasn't the food that they were wanting, it was the sucking that they were wanting. So babies use sucking as a calming mechanism. And so a lot of times they're just wanting to suck versus being hungry. So if your baby is, so how can you tell and what can you do? So if your baby just finished a bottle where they're normally or typically content, there wasn't an extended period of time. Um, they're not always crying after the bottle, right? This is a typical baby who is normally content after the bottle and they start crying. Oh my gosh, they must be hungry. What I want you to do as a parent is take a step back. Always have a pacifier available if you are bottle feeding. That is because when they're done with the bottle, I want you to hand them the give them the pacifier and allow them that suckling that they would get at the breast if they were there, so that they can suckle and calm and regulate their system, put their body into rest and digest, because that is how they get there. There's a nerve on the palate space. So when the sucking happens, it initiates that rest or digest system in the body. And so if they're done feeding, they may just want to sit there and suckle. So always have a pacifier handy. Give them the pacifier and see if they calm. Usually they will. Is it gas? Do we need to get a burp out? Like those are things that we should be looking at. What are they trying to communicate to us? Because if they just drank an entire bottle, they're not going to be hungry, right? There. So how do you know when you up ounces is always the follow-up question to that, and I will answer that here, is that their feeding windows will get shorter. So if they're typically every 2.5, 3 hours, and you find that they're starting to root at the 2 hour mark, then maybe we need to up their ounces. And I don't mean by whole ounces, I mean by half ounces, sometimes even by a fourth of an ounce. You can give, that is how we should be increasing their bottles so that you're helping their body regulate. And so, why is my baby crying after a feed? Are they in pain? Did they get too much air in there and they're having some reflux events? Are they just trying to suckle so that they can calm? Those are all things that we should be troubleshooting and looking at. So, what I first want you to do is have a pacifier on hand and replace that bottle with the pacifier and allow them that time to regulate and put their body in rest and digest. I hope that helps.